When you step into a moment with someone you care about, the single most powerful thing you can offer isn't a clever line, a perfect plan, or some technique you memorized from a book. It's the quality of your presence. Presence is when the noise of the outside world fades and you choose to be completely here, right now, with this person. It's rare, and that rarity makes it magnetic. Think about how often we all drift through our days half, checked out, glancing at our phones, letting our minds chase tomorrow's worries or yesterday's mistakes. The person who breaks that pattern, the one who looks you in the eyes and gives you their full attention, immediately stands apart. Presence tells someone, without a single word, that they matter. Real presence starts with preparation long before you're sitting together. It's the decision to quiet the inner chatter, the running list of tasks, the self-criticism, the what-ifs. Before you meet, take a few minutes to breathe and remind yourself nothing else requires you right now. When you walk in carrying that calm, you bring an energy that is grounding and electric at the same time. Your partner will feel it. They might not know why, but they'll sense the difference between someone who's half in and someone who is all in. Presence is communicated through small details. It's the way you hold eye contact, not staring, but genuinely seeing. It's lean in when they speak, letting their words land before you respond, noticing the shift in their tone or the subtle movement of their hands. It's asking a question that proves you heard not just the facts but the feeling behind them. These gestures may seem simple, yet they build a sense of intimacy stronger than any grand gesture ever could. When someone feels fully heard, they relax, they open, they trust. And that trust becomes the foundation for every other spark that follows. Being present also means setting aside your own agenda. Instead of planning your next clever comment or anticipating where the evening should lead, you allow the moment to unfold. You listen not just with your ears, but with your whole being, noticing the rhythm of their breathing, the way their eyes brighten when they laugh. This kind of attentive curiosity isn't passive, it's active engagement. You're signaling that this connection is alive, unique, unrepeatable. That makes the other person feel not only wanted, but truly valued. And here's the beautiful part: presence is reciprocal. When you offer it, it invites the other person to meet you there. Your focus encourages their focus. Your calm draws out their calm. Together you create a space where conversation deepens, playful tension builds naturally, and every touch, whether it's a brush of the hand or a shared smile, feels more charged because it's happening in a world of two, free from distraction. So as you think about creating powerful chemistry, remember it doesn't start with technique. It starts with attention. The greatest gift you can give is to be unmistakably, unshakably present. When you do, you turn an ordinary encounter into something unforgettable. And every next step, whether it's laughter, closeness, or the quiet after, is richer because you chose to truly be there. Words have a way of setting the entire stage long before any physical closeness happens. The way you speak, the choice of words, the timing of a compliment or a playful tease, these are sparks that build anticipation and create a rhythm between you and the person you care about. When you use language with intention, you invite curiosity and excitement. It's not about memorizing fancy lines or trying to sound like someone else. It's about finding words that carry genuine warmth and a hint of mystery. Even a simple statement delivered with confidence and a slight smile can linger in someone's mind and make them feel special. That's the power of verbal connection. It stretches the moment and draws someone in without a single touch. Flirtation isn't just a game. It's a conversation where you both create a unique energy. It starts with noticing and naming what you appreciate. Maybe it's the way he laughs or how his eyes light up when he talks about something he loves. A sincere compliment lands deeper when it's specific. Instead of a quick, "You look great," you might say, "I love how your energy changes when you talk about your projects. It's contagious." That kind of language shows you're paying attention. It communicates that you see more than appearances, you see who he is. That awareness builds a subtle tension. Because when someone feels recognized on that level, they naturally want to stay in that space with you. Playful teasing can add another layer. Light, good-natured teasing creates a sense of inside jokes, a little private world where the two of you share a smile that no one else understands. The key is to keep it kind and never cutting. It might be as simple as teasing him about his obsession with a certain hobby or pretending to compete over something trivial. Done right, it's a dance, one that builds excitement and makes every exchange feel alive. This isn't about manipulation, it's about creating a shared rhythm that both of you enjoy. Timing matters just as much as the words themselves. Let small silences stretch when a compliment lands. Let a laugh breathe before you respond. The pauses can be as magnetic as the words because they give space for meaning to settle in. Sometimes it's a gentle whisper when the room is loud, or a quiet remark when no one else is listening. These choices signal that what you're saying is meant just for him, and that exclusivity deepens the connection. Words can also guide the atmosphere in subtle ways. Asking thoughtful questions, for instance, shows that you're genuinely curious, instead of the usual, "How was your day?" You might ask, "What moment today made you stop and think?" Questions like that invite a more intimate answer and show that you value depth. When someone feels safe to share their thoughts, they naturally feel closer, and closeness is what keeps the spark alive. Above all, speak with authenticity. The most powerful words aren't perfectly rehearsed. They're the ones that reveal a real emotion in the moment. When your voice carries warmth and a touch of playfulness, when your eyes match the feeling behind your words, you create a current that pulls him closer without effort. Long before you reach for his hand or share a quiet moment, your voice has already laid the foundation. In that space of anticipation, every glance, every laugh, every shared breath feels amplified because the connection has already begun with the language you chose and the intention behind it. Every person has their own map of what makes them feel wanted, safe, and alive, and no two maps are exactly the same. Learning his language means becoming a curious observer of that map, discovering the signals, gestures, and words that reach him in a way nothing else does. It begins with attention, the kind of attention that notices small details others overlook. Maybe he lights up when someone genuinely laughs at his humor, or perhaps he softens when a conversation goes a little deeper than the usual surface talk. These tiny reactions are clues. They show you where his comfort lies and where his excitement sparks, and when you start to understand them, you're speaking directly to who he really is. Listening is the first part of this discovery. Real listening isn't just about waiting for your turn to talk. It's leaning into his stories, remembering the little things he mentions in passing, and noticing the emotion behind his words. When he tells you about a childhood memory or a dream he rarely shares, that's more than small talk. It's an invitation. By reflecting back what you hear and asking thoughtful follow-ups, you show that you value his inner world. That alone can create a connection far more powerful than any scripted gesture, because he feels understood without having to explain every detail. Observation is another form of listening. It's in the way he responds to touch, to tone, to pace. Maybe a spontaneous hug in the middle of a busy day makes him grin. Or maybe he's the kind who relaxes most when things are unhurried and calm. Watch how he reacts when you reach for his hand, when you brush past him in the kitchen, when you share a private smile across a room. Each response is feedback, and when you pay attention without rushing to judgment, you start to see patterns. Those patterns tell you more than any words ever could. Communication flows both ways, and part of learning his language is sharing your own. When you express what you enjoy, what makes you laugh, what comforts you, you invite him to do the same. This mutual openness turns discovery into a shared adventure. It stops being about guessing and becomes about exploring together. You don't need to pressure the moment or demand revelations. You simply create an atmosphere where curiosity feels natural and safe. Patience is essential. No one reveals everything at once, and trying to force understanding can break the very trust you're building. Take time to let the layers unfold. Celebrate the small insights. The way he orders his coffee, the song he can't stop playing, the quiet look he gives when he's proud. Each piece fits into a bigger picture, and part of the excitement is letting that picture come into focus at its own pace. When you learn his language, you also learn how to respond in ways that feel authentic to him. Maybe it's a gentle word when he's stressed, a playful challenge when he's brimming with energy, or a simple silence that lets him know you're there without needing to fill the air. These are not grand gestures, they are small, meaningful choices that show you truly see him. And when someone feels deeply seen, the connection between you gains a strength that doesn't fade. This is what makes chemistry last. It isn't about a single perfect move or a one-size-fits-all formula. It's about the ongoing act of discovery, the willingness to listen, watch, and adapt. Learning his language transforms every shared moment into something richer, because each look, each word, each touch carries the unmistakable message you matter. And I want to know you exactly as you are. There is something undeniably powerful about slowing down when everything around us seems to push for speed. In a world where messages fly instantly and attention spans shrink, choosing a slow burn over a fast fire is almost rebellious, and that's exactly why it works. Building chemistry isn't about racing toward a destination. It's about savoring every step along the way. When you give a connection room to breathe, you create a rhythm that heightens anticipation and makes every moment feel alive. The longer you allow tension to build, the more unforgettable the experience becomes, because excitement thrives in the space just before something happens. Slowing down starts with your mindset. Instead of focusing on what comes next, you commit to what's happening right now. You notice the way a conversation unfolds, the subtle shift in someone's expression, the pause between their words. You let those details sink in rather than rushing past them. This kind of attention isn't passive, it's charged. It signals that you're fully present and that you value the journey as much as any outcome. When someone feels you savoring the moment, they instinctively begin to savor it too, and together you create a sense of time stretching, like the world has narrowed to just the two of you. Anticipation is a quiet but powerful form of connection. Think of the way a story builds suspense. The writer draws you closer, hinting at what's to come without revealing it all at once. Relationships are no different. A playful glance across a room, a conversation that lingers just a little longer than expected, a shared silence that carries its own electricity. These small choices let the energy rise naturally. You don't need to force intensity. You allow it to grow until it fills the space between you. That kind of tension is more exciting than anything hurried, because it engages the imagination as much as the senses. Pacing is not about withholding affection or creating games. It's about depth. When you move slowly, you give both of you a chance to notice and appreciate every layer of interaction. Words take on new weight, gestures become more meaningful, and even the quiet moments feel charged. You might find that a simple touch or a shared laugh resonates longer because it wasn't rushed. Each small step becomes a memory in itself, something you can revisit later because it was given the time to land. This approach also builds trust. When you aren't in a hurry, you show respect for the other person's comfort and boundaries. You create an atmosphere where they can relax, knowing there's no pressure to skip ahead. That safety allows vulnerability to grow. And vulnerability is what transforms attraction into something lasting. The slow burn is not just about excitement. It's about creating a foundation where real closeness can thrive. There's a quiet confidence in choosing this pace. It says you're not desperate for an outcome. You're here to experience the moment fully. That confidence is magnetic. It draws someone in, not because you're pushing, but because you're inviting them into a space that feels rare and intentional. The more you both lean into that shared pace, the stronger the connection becomes, until even the smallest gesture, a smile, a pause, a breath feels significant. When you embrace the slow burn, you're not denying passion, you're amplifying it. You're letting excitement build like a melody that keeps unfolding, each note richer than the last. And when the moment finally arrives for something more, it carries the weight of every glance, every laugh, every heartbeat that led up to it. That is the magic of taking your time, the realization that the journey itself is every bit as thrilling as the destination. Confidence has a way of changing the entire atmosphere of a room. It isn't loud or showy, and it doesn't need to announce itself. True confidence is quiet, steady, and magnetic because it comes from self-assurance rather than performance. When you step into an interaction with the belief that you are enough as you are, everything you do carries a different energy. Your words flow more easily, your gestures feel natural, and your presence invites the other person to relax. That ease is irresistible because it promises a connection that is genuine and free of pressure. Real confidence begins long before you meet someone. It starts with how you talk to yourself, the way you handle your own doubts, and the trust you build in your own worth. When you value who you are, you stop searching for validation in someone else's reaction. You don't need to prove anything or chase approval, and that freedom allows you to show up authentically. People sense when you're grounded in your own value. It shows in the way you hold eye contact, the way you listen without rushing to fill every silence, and the way you move through a conversation with calm curiosity instead of nervous urgency. Part of that calm comes from embracing imperfections. Confidence doesn't mean pretending to be flawless. It means knowing that your quirks and flaws are part of your charm. When you laugh at yourself or admit when you don't know something, you create an atmosphere of honesty that draws people closer. Vulnerability, when paired with self-respect, becomes a strength. It tells the other person that you're comfortable in your own skin, and that comfort is contagious. Curiosity is another hallmark of confident energy. Instead of trying to impress with rehearsed stories or clever lines, you focus on discovering the person in front of you. You ask questions because you genuinely want to know what excites them, what makes them think, what lights them up. That kind of attention isn't a tactic, it's a natural extension of feeling secure in yourself. When you're not worried about how you're being perceived, you can give your full attention to someone else, and that attention makes them feel seen in a way that few experiences match. Confidence also shows in the way you handle pace. You don't rush to create a spark or force intimacy. You allow moments to unfold because you trust the connection to grow at its own speed. A lingering look, a thoughtful pause, a quiet smile. These small gestures carry more weight when they come from a place of ease. The other person senses that you are comfortable with anticipation, and that comfort makes the tension between you exciting rather than stressful. Maintaining self-respect is essential. Confidence doesn't mean bending over backward to keep someone interested or staying silent when something doesn't feel right. It means honoring your own boundaries while respecting theirs. When you communicate openly and stand by your values, you demonstrate strength without arrogance. That balance of kindness and firmness creates a dynamic where trust can thrive. Ultimately, confidence is not about performing for someone else. It's about being fully present as yourself. It's the quiet belief that you have something unique to share and the patience to let that truth show naturally. When you walk into a moment with that mindset, you create a space where attraction deepens without effort. Every word, every glance, every shared silence carries a charge because it's built on authenticity. That is the kind of confidence that draws someone in and keeps the connection alive long after the first spark. When the moment of excitement has passed and the energy of the evening begins to settle, the connection you've built doesn't have to fade. In fact, What comes after can be just as meaningful as everything that led up to it. The afterglow is where you shift from anticipation to appreciation, where the spark you created earlier softens into warmth. It's a time to let the closeness linger instead of rushing back to everyday noise. This is where lasting intimacy is nurtured, because it shows that your interest isn't limited to a single high point. It extends to the quiet moments that follow. Staying present in this space begins with something simple: noticing. Notice the way the air feels a little different, how your breathing finds an easy rhythm, how the world outside seems to slow down. Share that stillness instead of filling it with chatter. A gentle touch, a calm glance, or even a comfortable silence can say more than words. These subtle gestures let the other person know you value them beyond the thrill of the moment. They signal that you're in no hurry to escape the intimacy you've built. Conversation in this stage can be light or reflective, but it works best when it's genuine. Maybe you share a small memory that the evening stirred up, or you ask a thoughtful question about something you both experienced. It doesn't need to be profound. What matters is that you remain open and attentive. When someone feels heard in these quieter moments, they sense that the connection is real. It's not about analyzing what just happened or making promises for the future. It's about being together in a way that feels effortless. Physical closeness can also deepen in the afterglow, but it doesn't have to mean anything grand. A relaxed embrace, a hand resting lightly, or simply sitting side by side can reinforce the comfort you've created. These gestures aren't about reigniting intensity, but about honoring the shared experience. They say, without words, I'm here, and I'm not rushing away. A gratitude plays a quiet but powerful role. A sincere, I love this time with you, or I really enjoyed our night, carries a weight far greater than any elaborate speech. Gratitude doesn't have to be dramatic, it just needs to be real. It affirms that what you shared mattered, and it builds trust for whatever comes next. When someone feels appreciated rather than taken for granted, the bond between you strengthens naturally. Allowing a gentle return to the world is another part of the afterglow. That might mean sharing a comfortable laugh, planning a simple breakfast, or even sitting in peaceful silence until you both feel ready to move. There's no need to force the transition. By respecting the quiet and letting the moment end on its own terms, you show that the connection wasn't just a fleeting spark, it's something you both can carry with you. What makes this stage powerful is that it's often overlooked. Many people focus on the lead up, on building tension and creating excitement, but the calm that follows is where memories take root. It's where the feelings you stirred earlier settle into something deeper, something that lasts beyond the night. Choosing to linger in that space, to savor it, is a statement of confidence and care. The afterglow isn't about perfection or performance. It's about being fully present after the crescendo, letting affection flow without expectation. When you honor this time, you transform a single experience into a lasting connection. The warmth you share becomes a memory that stays, a quiet reminder that intimacy is more than excitement. It's the comfort of knowing that even after the spark, you both still want to be right there.